May 5th, 2009, a quiet Illinois town was shaken by a heartbreaking tragedy that no one saw coming. The Coleman family's story took a heartbreaking turn, unraveling secrets, betrayal, and a mystery that stunned the world. What happened to Sherry Coleman and her sons, Garrett and Gavin? Who could destroy such a close-knit family, and why? Today, we're diving deep into this unforgettable case to uncover the truth behind the tragedy.
You are listening to Criminal Cases Journal. Real stories from the darkest corners of criminal history. Some names have been changed, and some tapes were never meant to be heard.
In small town, appearances can be everything. In Columbia, Illinois, no family looked more put together than the Colemans. Chris Coleman was a former Marine turned head of security for one of the most recognizable religious organizations in the country, Joyce Meyer Ministries.
Chris traveled with Joyce all over the world.
Chris would mention Joyce was always getting threats, and he would have to deal with them.
He traveled globally, ensuring the safety of a woman whose messages reached millions. To many, his life was not just admirable, it was enviable. At his side was his wife, Sherry, high school sweethearts from Waterloo, Illinois.
He was just a good boy, doing whatever was going on at church.
Just a good kid, good student, good athlete. Went in the Marine Corps right after he graduated.
Called and he said, "Hey, Dad, just want to let you know I'm still in Chicago." "Okay, everything okay?" "Yeah, I got married."
She was a good
Garrett and Gavin, what a joy. They were just two little boys that were just full of each other. Garrett was very quiet and more subdued. Gavin, he was just busy.
They met as teens and were inseparable ever since. Sherry was bright, outgoing, and full of life. Those who knew her say she had a laugh that could fill a room and a heart that put others before herself. She was the soul of the family. Together they had two sons, Garrett and Gavin. Garrett was born in 1998, curious, athletic, and a natural leader in his class. By 2009, he was already showing the makings of a thoughtful, compassionate young man. Gavin, born in 2000, was the light-hearted one. Playful, always smiling, the kind of kid who could make anyone laugh, even on their worst day. The family lived in a tidy two-story home in a quiet neighborhood just across the river from St. Louis. Their lawn was always manicured. Their boys were well-behaved. And on Sundays, they could be found sitting together in the front row at church. To outsiders, they seemed like the perfect American family, grounded in faith, devoted to each other, and thriving. But as often happens in true crime, appearances were deceiving. In late 2008, a series of strange, anonymous emails were sent to Joyce Meyer Ministries. The messages were disturbing, threatening violence if Chris Coleman didn't resign. The sender warned that people close to Chris could get hurt, that if he didn't walk away from his role, there would be consequences. Chris reported the emails to his employer. Sherry, worried but trusting, stood by him. The family took extra precaution.
All this at the time, she was so scared that there'd been something. It wasn't mailed to them. It was put in their mailbox.
Notified the police.
It had been that close to their home because their mailbox was at their driveway. First time we were really concerned for their safety. Yes, she was scared. Yes, she was.
The ministry hired private investigators, and police began documenting the threats. A home security system was installed. This is Chris playing with his sons 12 hours before the tragedy. Chris even asked a neighbor to keep an eye on the house while he was away. From the outside, it looked like a man doing everything he could to protect his family. But investigators noticed something strange. The emails, despite being sent from a so-called anonymous address, lacked the complexity one might expect from a calculated threat. There were no signs of a broader motive, no connection to the ministry. And most alarming of all, Chris himself seemed unusually composed. Was this really the work of an outside threat? Or was the danger already inside the home? May 5th, 2009. A Tuesday morning like any other in Columbia, Illinois. But just before 7 a.m., a call came into the local police department. It wasn't from inside the Coleman home. It was from a neighbor, a man named Detective Justin Barlow, who lived just a few doors down. Barlow wasn't just a friend. He was a police officer with the Columbia PD. He'd been keeping an eye on the Coleman residence, at Chris's request, ever since those threatening emails began. That morning, Chris had left home early, around 5:30 a.m., heading to a nearby gym before work. But something about the house didn't feel right. Calls to Sherry's phone went unanswered. The lights were still off, and the boys, usually up for school by now, hadn't stirred. Chris texted Barlow from the gym. He said he couldn't reach his wife, asked him to check on the house. When Barlow entered the Coleman home, the silence was immediate and heavy. The family dog didn't bark. The usual sounds of morning, TV, voices, laughter were absent. Room by room, he moved through the house. First the living room, then the kitchen. Upstairs is where everything changed. Inside the bedrooms, he found all three family members, Sherry, Garrett, and Gavin. All had lost their lives. It was clear. This was no break-in, no robbery gone wrong. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of struggle, and the threats Chris had reported. Suddenly, they took on a new weight. Barlow backed out immediately and called it in. Columbia police arrived within minutes. Yellow tape went up. Neighbors gathered outside, stunned and silent. Chris was located at the gym and rushed back to the scene. Dashcam footage shows him being driven in the front seat of a squad car, pale, stunned, and quiet. In the hours that followed, the Coleman residence transformed into a full-scale crime scene. Detectives from multiple jurisdictions joined the investigation. Forensic techs combed every inch of the house. One detail stood out immediately. Red spray paint had been scrawled across the walls. Words like "punished," "I am watching," and "you have paid," meant to appear threatening, meant to send a message, but investigators weren't buying it. The paint was fresh, the handwriting looked rehearsed, and the so-called intruder had somehow left no trace. No footprints, no fingerprints, no signs of how they even got inside. This wasn't the work of a stranger. This was personal, and the one person who had reported the threats was suddenly the one person at the center of the story. In the hours after the tragedy at the Coleman residence, shock gave way to silence. The neighborhood that once buzzed with the sound of lawnmowers and kids playing outside was now a crime scene. And at the center of it stood Chris Coleman, husband, father, security professional, now alone. Friends came forward to console him. Church members prayed. His employer, Joyce Meyer Ministries, expressed their sorrow. But behind closed doors, investigators were already seeing something others couldn't. A pattern, a performance, and a growing list of unanswered questions. The scene inside the house told a story, but not the one Chris claimed. There were no broken locks, no shattered windows, no overturned furniture. The only chaos came from the red spray-painted messages. Phrases like, "You have been punished," and "I am always watching." It looked theatrical, planned, and strangely impersonal. Even more curious, the paint wasn't smeared. There were no footprints through the house. The person who wrote those threats had moved with calm, not panic. Detectives also found that the messages had been sprayed over perfectly clean walls. No smudges, no hesitation marks, as if the person who did it wasn't rushed or afraid of being caught. Chris had an alibi. He told police he left home at 5:30 a.m. to work out at the gym. He said he texted Sherry while exercising, tried to call her when she didn't respond, then contacted his neighbor, Detective Justin Barlow, to check on the house. But when investigators pulled his cell phone data, the story began to fray. Chris's calls to Sherry's phone, they were made after he'd already contacted Barlow, after the police were already involved. Which raised a critical question. Was he genuinely worried? Or was he creating a digital paper trail just in case? Then there was his demeanor. In interviews with law enforcement, Chris was oddly calm. No tears, no trembling, no visible breakdowns. He referred to Sherry and the boys in the past tense. He avoided direct eye contact, and at times, he seemed more irritated than heartbroken. One investigator later described him as controlled, cold, disconnected.
No, you know what, for right now, I'm just going to have a seat there. I'm not sure what I want to do, but... Here's another water if you need it, okay? I mean, obviously, we've got an investigation to do, so I got to go over your money, all right? It's just because we're talking to you, we're talking to a lot of people, okay?
I've done it for myself.
Just, I'll tell you what, from the beginning, let's just start off from when you got up this morning until the time you pulled up at the house. Just kind of walk me through that first, and then we'll go through and kind of explain, talk about some different things as far as the emails you've been getting, okay?
Well, I set my alarm clock for 5:30, and I used my phone for my alarm clock. And got up at 5:30, went in the bathroom, put these clothes here I got on, and went to the bathroom, and basically got in the truck and left. And drove off. I got to, I don't know where I was at, but called Sherry to wake her up, get her going, and she didn't answer, of course. Yeah. And so I went on to the gym, to Gold's Gym, over by Ryan's Plaza in South County, and started working out. I text her at some point. I might even called her again. I don't remember. I could probably look at my phone if you want me to.
Do you guys have a home phone number too, or just cell phones?
We just use cell phones. So I text her, and then she still didn't respond, and probably now it had to have been well after 6 o'clock sometime when I texted her or called her. I'm sure it's still on her phone what time it was. And she didn't respond. It's not like her because the kids should have been up and stuff, or getting up and going by then, I believe. And so I called her again. On the way back, or when I was getting ready to leave, and she didn't respond again, and it started getting a little concerned because it's not like her not to answer the phone. Sometimes she won't answer if she's in the shower, but she always calls me back right away. And so she didn't do that at all. And so that's when I called you.
So what time did you text her back? The second time?
I can tell you.
6:23. So at 6:23 a.m. is when you first texted her this morning to see if you're awake. Does that sound right?
Did you try to call before that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can pull the call up too if you want me to.
Okay, that just does text. I'm sorry. All right, so you're just looking at text, and how are those out, Justin?
So the first one is from you. It says, "Hey baby, you
6:23. I'm sorry.
6:23 a.m. And then and she doesn't respond to you, correct?
It would be on there.
So right, okay. And so the second one from you says, "I know He was tired last night. 6:23. Says, I have about 5 minutes left on cardio, then I'll be home. And she never responded to any of them. Because I could tell them, I could tell them the phone.
Okay.
And then at 7:27, it says, hello, you up?
7:27.
I'm sorry, 6:27. 6:27. And then at the same time, at 6:27, another one goes out and says, time to get the kids up. Anything as far as that sticks out in your mind from this morning when you left? Did you notice anything?
The only thing I told somebody was, the only thing I can remember is having to slow down for a car backing out of the driveway. That's it.
From the which driveway were they backing up?
I don't know. He asked me the same thing. It was like 3 or 4 up. I don't know. On the left-hand side. That's the only thing I remember.
You notice anything about the car?
It was just a darker color. The only thing I'm sorry. I should have been more observant.
Anything that sticks out? I mean, were you able to tell him like what kind of car it was? I mean, did you recognize it in the neighborhood at all? Or?
No, I was just backing out of the driveway. I didn't even see it come out of the garage or anything.
Those, kind of going back to when you first came here back in November last year, you were getting some of those emails sent to your work email address, right? Do you still have those on your computer?
I could look.
Okay.
They might be on the server. Even.
Okay.
I doubt if they're on the computer because it deletes them after so long.
Kind of purges them out type of
But
thing.
I would think they'd be on the server.
And how many threats like that? I mean, up until November, have you ever gotten threats like that before?
No, people have been upset with me, but I haven't gotten anything. I mean, I've had people yell at me and cuss at me and everything else, but, you know, and escort them off the property and all that stuff, you know. If I'd just been there this morning, I'd leave.
What we're gonna do, you know, Chris, we're gonna get past that. Okay, we're gonna work this out and get through it, all right? But what we need, the best thing you can do for us is help us. Try to fill it. You're doing a great job, man. But the best thing we can do is work together and try to figure all this out, okay? All right? And you're doing that. I mean, I'm not.
Were you able to see anything when you were in the kitchen area?
Yes, I'm right.
And when you describe what you're talking
All I saw was red writing.
what would the source have been of the substance?
I don't know.
I mean, did you think it was paint? Did you think it was?
assume it's probably paint.
All right. Could you see what it said, or what it's? I mean, this.
I didn't read it.
All right,
It was just such a blur. I didn't know.
Do you have any paint at your house?
I think so.
No, don't.
I don't think so.
Any spray paint?
If I do, it's old. We kind of talked about the divorce a little bit.
This last December?
Yeah. And I went to Joyce with it, told her about it, or Danny, I can't remember which one. And they knew about it, and they suggested that we meet with somebody and see if we could work out whatever it was. And really all it was just communication. Not communicating very well. So,
Did you meet with somebody?
yeah, Mike Shepard, the guy that's here downstairs in the lobby.
Okay.
And we've been meeting with him pretty regularly, and things have been going pretty awesome.
How often do you meet with him? You said regularly.
He travels overseas a lot too, and so as often as me and him schedule, I'd say on average maybe once a week.
When you left the house this morning, was your wife alive?
Oh yeah.
What would you say if I told you that I don't think she was?
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I think she was. I mean, she was.
Okay.
She was laying right beside me.
And I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that you were there, and I'm not doubting that you care. But I am doubting that she was alive when you left this morning. Physically, what we have are different ways to tell how long a person's been deceased. That was done. And what do you think that showed?
I don't know. I guess the time frame when I was gone. I mean,
No, you guys wrong. Chris, we need to get this resolved. Okay? that you can't argue with physical evidence.
Right. I'm not trying to argue with it.
All right. What I'm telling you is there is no other explanation. There's no other reason that the information we have would support what you're telling us. That it can't. It can't. You've told us a story and we've gone over it numerous times. Right. You know what? We walk out to Justin, maybe we missed this. Let's go in and talk to him about this and just make sure that we're not missing something. Let's give him every opportunity to tell us exactly what happened and maybe we're missing something. Right. So that's why we go out and we come back in and we go out and we come back in. Right. I did have to use the restroom, that was legitimate, but we go out and we come back in. And we felt very comfortable that we were giving you every opportunity to tell us something that was going to contradict the information that we had. All right, we've got this information, you're saying it, and we're giving you opportunity to give us something contrary to what you told us before, so that, okay, yeah, all right, that would make sense. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened. Listen, man, she wasn't alive when you left.
She was alive. She was laying right beside me.
Listen to me. We can go back and forth with this all day long, but the physical evidence doesn't lie. She was not alive when you left this morning. The children weren't alive when you left this morning.
Yes, they were.
No, come on, Chris. We got to get over this. Now, there's reasons, and that's the point we're at. I want to hear the reasons. Now is when we need to find out what happened, man. It's so important. You're at a great point to be able to help us to try to figure this out. We already know what happened. We need to know why it happened.
I don't know what to tell you.
Listen, no, you do know what to tell us.
No, I don't.
Come on, Chris. She was not alive when you left. The children were not alive when you left. You know that's true, and I know that's true.
No, it just...
We need to clear this up now. We need to clear it up now. Did something happen? What happened?
Nothing happened.
What was going on in your life, Chris? Because I can't buy what you're saying. The physical evidence does not lie, Chris. It does not. She was not alive when you left, period. The physical evidence does not lie, man.
What do you want me to tell you?
The truth.
I'm telling you the truth.
How did we get to this point? That's what I need to know. I need to know how and why we got to the point we're at right now. We both know you're not telling me the truth. We both know that. I've done this a long time. I'm looking into your eyes and I can tell you're not being truthful, Chris. We need an answer. There are answers. As bad as this sounds, as bad as this looks, or you may think it looks, we understand, and I've talked to many people who have given me reasons, and it's like, you know what, okay, all right, I can understand how somebody might have been feeling that at that time. And maybe they acted on it and they shouldn't have, and they regret it. There's no way to turn clocks back. You can't turn clocks back. You understand that, don't you?
Right.
You can't turn the clock back. The only thing we can do is go forward from this point, and we need to know what and why it happened. Come on, Chris, help me out with this.
I'm telling you, I've already told you. I've told everybody. I told the guy in the ambulance. I told you. I told him.
The more we go back like this, the more it makes me think that there maybe even isn't a good explanation for it. I mean, we need to know what happened. We can't keep going on this. It didn't, she was alive when I left. We know that's not true, and there's nothing we can do about changing that. If we know she wasn't alive when you left this morning, there's got to be an explanation. Now is the time to tell us. Now is the time to get this out in the open.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Yes, you do. Yes,
no.
You do. You have to tell me the truth, Chris.
I'm telling you the truth.
Were you involved in her death?
No.
Okay. Was someone you know involved in her death?
I don't know.
Did you know? Did you talk to anybody about arranging her death?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
To determine whether he was simply in shock or hiding something, detectives expanded their focus. They began combing through Chris's digital life. His phone, his laptop, his browser history, deleted files, messaging apps, email accounts. And that's when they found her. Tara Lintz. Tara was a woman Chris had known for years. She'd once been a friend of Sherry's. Now she was living in Florida, and for the last several months, she and Chris had been in daily contact. Private messages, phone calls, photos, and a growing number of promises from Chris that he would leave his old life behind. He told her he was preparing to start fresh. He had even told her he couldn't divorce Sherry because of his job with the ministry, but that he would take care of it another way. Most chilling of all, he gave her a timeline. He said they would be together by the end of May. Sherry, Garrett, and Gavin were found on May 5th.
Strangled in their beds. They remained in their beds. Sherry Coleman had 3 ligature marks that indicated that she fought, and fought hard, and also had a black eye. There was spray-painted walls that I looked at through a window that said, "Punished." There were other messages to the effect that you knew this was coming. This was a monster. Somebody who would spray paint the walls, spray paint one of the boys, strangle the kids while they slept. It was a monster.
Detectives went back to the source of the disturbing emails, the threats that started it all. The emails Chris claimed were from someone who wanted him out of his job, someone who had promised harm if he didn't resign. Those messages were sent from an anonymous Gmail account, but Gmail stores IP addresses. And when investigators traced the IP, it led back to Chris's own laptop. The so-called threats. He had written them himself. It was the turning point. A moment when investigators realized this wasn't just a case of a grieving father. This was a carefully crafted plan, built over months, constructed with lies, and powered by a single motive: to erase one life so he could start another. The man who once protected a global ministry was now the focus of a full-blown criminal investigation. And everything, his texts, his emails, his gym trip, his calm demeanor was evidence. In 2009, technology was beginning to change the way cases were solved. Digital footprints, metadata, cell towers, deleted files. For investigators working the Coleman case, that shift would become the key to unlocking a truth no one wanted to believe. Because while Chris Coleman appeared calm on the outside, his devices told a very different story. Now let's go back to the emails, the threats that started it all. Between November 2008 and early May 2009, multiple messages were sent to Joyce Meyer Ministries. Each warned that if Chris Coleman didn't resign from his job, his family would face consequences. They were chilling, director, and they escalated over time. But the FBI's cybercrime team, alongside Illinois investigators, began analyzing the origin of the messages. They weren't coming from overseas. They weren't routed through dark web servers. They were coming from someone using a free Wi-Fi account at a public library, and occasionally from a personal laptop linked to a residential IP address. That IP address? It belonged to Chris Coleman. The so-called anonymous Gmail account had been created months earlier using a fake name. But the first login happened inside Chris's own home, using his internet connection. It was a digital fingerprint, and it was damning. Investigators had already started noticing contradictions in his story. But now, they had proof. He had fabricated the entire threat campaign. Not to protect his family, but to build an alibi. They kept digging. Chris's workout schedule, his supposed alibi, suddenly seemed too convenient. Surveillance footage at the gym showed him entering and leaving on May 5th. But the window of time between when he left his house and when the bodies were discovered was tight. Too tight. Enough time for him to return home. Enough time for everything to happen. And there was something else. On the morning of the tragedy, Chris had stopped replying to texts. Just after 6 a.m., His communication all but stopped, until after 7 a.m. when he contacted his neighbor to check on the house. That gap was critical. It was in that silent hour that everything likely happened. And by the time police arrived at the house, Chris had already created a digital trail of concern. He had called, he had texted, he had asked his neighbor to check in. But it wasn't grief. It was strategy. Next came the messages between Chris and Tara Lintz, the woman he had been secretly involved with for months. Detectives recovered more than 5,000 text messages. Many were romantic, some were suggestive, but several were unmistakably clear.
Hawaii? Sweet daddy. Being bad.
Chris had told Tara that his marriage was over, that his wife would be gone soon, that they would be together before the end of May.
My own home video of naked.
Tara later testified that she thought he meant divorce. She had no idea what he was planning. She had even picked out baby names with him. He had promised her a future.
Anyway, just wanted to say I love you, and as you could hear, what's funny is you are messaging me now. Said, show me your picture, say I love my hair today. Look at you look so hot.
On his computer, Chris Coleman had details about Tara, her measurement, her ring size, and the name of a baby that they would have. The name was going to be Zoe. Chris had notes in his computer that said, "The day Tara changed my life."
I knew right away, I had a gut instinct that she was going to somehow be an important piece of this investigation.
How long have you been in a relationship with Chris?
Since late November, early December.
Where all of you guys been together?
Phoenix and Hawaii, Maui.
What would you tell his wife when he was gone?
He would have just told that he was working.
So Sherry was not aware of the affair that you and him were having?
No. I know she suspected, but he always would take pictures when he was going to sleep to prove that, he wasn't sleeping with her or anything.
See, now to us, he tried to paint that it was a rosy, perfect marriage.
No. They never kissed. Never. Hey, no, I'm in the middle of a really high-profile murder investigation. I've got a murder investigation. I'm right in the middle of it. I have 4 detectives here sitting at my house. They have no problem giving you proof or anything like that. I thought I was coming into work today.
You had even registered on some wedding sites and stuff, looked at some rings.
I looked at stuff. But, with his job, he, can't be living with anybody unless he's married.
Had you guys ever talked about having children together?
He sends you some type of message shortly after all this happened, after he come home and discovered all this?
He texted me.
What was the message from there?
From then? Call you when I can. I'm all right. Text. I know. You know that. He texted me. I just thought I'd tell you. He just
texted us, yeah. What do you want now?
Just said he was thinking about me and that the wake was at 3.
In her third interview, detectives share with Tara where her intimate photos are going to.
Since going through your phone
Okay.
and computer, and obviously we've done the same with Chris's and even his dad's. And
Right.
there happens to be a picture of you rather compromising on his father's computer.
Okay.
So
That's pretty
just tell you anything about these or that he was planning anything like this?
Absolutely
Did
not.
you have any knowledge of these homicides
No
whatsoever?
knowledge.
Before, like it or not, unfortunately, your name is Tara Motive.
Exactly.
If you're gonna
Yeah.
For prosecutors, this was premeditation, months of manipulation and motive. Chris wanted out of his marriage, but divorce wasn't an option. Working for a Christian ministry, he feared how it would look, what people would say, what it would cost him. So instead, he built a lie. On May 19th, 2009, just 2 weeks after the tragedy, Chris Coleman was arrested. He was charged with taking the lives of his wife and 2 sons. When officers brought him in, he didn't resist, didn't ask questions, didn't cry. He sat quietly, expressionless. To the public, it was shocking. To those close to the investigation, it was inevitable. The trial of Chris Coleman was set to be one of the most closely watched in Illinois history. A man once seen as a protector, now facing the weight of a community's heartbreak and questions. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors laid out their case with precision. They described the digital evidence, the fabricated emails, the affair, and the calculated timeline. The prosecution painted a picture of a man who carefully crafted a lie to cover a dark plan. A plan to erase his family so he could begin a new life with Tara Lintz. Witnesses testified. Neighbors recalled the quiet family life. Detectives walked jurors through the timeline of texts, emails, and phone records. Digital experts explained how metadata traced the threatening messages back to Coleman's home. But the defense fought back. They argued there was no direct physical evidence linking Chris to the crime scene, that his calm demeanor was shock, not guilt, that the affair didn't prove motive. The jury was tasked with weighing months of complex evidence and emotional testimony. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. Chris Coleman was found guilty on all counts, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought a measure of closure, but the scars remain. A community shaken, 2 young boys never forgotten, and a warning about the darkness that can sometimes hide behind the most familiar faces. This case reminds us that danger doesn't always come from strangers. It can come from the people we trust the most. If you want more deep dive true crime stories like this one, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments which case you'd like us to cover next.